morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm on a flight down to Cape Town for the running of I Did It My Way today, going down to support the horse. So let's start there. We're going to put together this video for Kenilworth, where they do race. I know they had a lot of rain on Friday and Saturday, so expectations were that perhaps we wouldn't race, but sounds like we are going to. So we're going down to have a look at race one and our own horse, I Did It My Way run. Obviously hoping that he runs well. Realistically though, very short price favourite in the race, number 4, Hard Stealer. Looks hard to oppose, although we'll be giving it a go. We, in terms of I Did It My Way, third run for us, and he has been gelded. He's had his African horse sickness injections, but expectations are that he'll run okay. But I don't know if he can beat number 4, Hard Stealer, who was very good on debut. Number 2, Captain Maurice, beat him last time. He's a natural danger. So my selection with my head would be 4, 2 and 5. With my heart is going to be 5, 4 and 2. A potential improver, perhaps number 7, Rockpool, who's a Futura, who races from a 1 draw and has Aldo de Meyer on board. But that's race 1 at Kenilworth, due off at 12:40. Moving on to race 2. Apologies for the close-up of my mug, but I fear that otherwise you might not hear me. So let's move on to race 2, where I think the most important thing here is the jockey strike on number 4, Hear My Voice. No disrespect to Keenan Stain and Devon Ashby, but Aldo de Meyer, senior rider, takes over, and drawn 4, of course, Aldo was in the winner's enclosure at Grable yesterday on Marina, and this filly did run in a feature race and ran very well behind We Are Jamming, or We're Jamming. Well beaten, but in this field, very hard to suggest that it won't shed the maiden certificate, particularly as Hear My Voice is drawn 4. Potential improvers, well, number 11, Turn the Page, I think might improve. She's drawn 2, and she was backed on debut. She hasn't exactly set the track alight, but she hasn't been too bad, and she is a daughter of Trippy out of a Monsieur mare, so I'm sure that the extra 200 will suit her. Number 7, Lady Silvano, she ran okay on debut and blew Quattro rides, so she's a natural improver, being a daughter of Bold Silvano. And they just watched the betting on the first timers, in particular number 9, Summer Night City, who's scheduled to be ridden by Smunga. And also I see my friend Andrew Brand's got a first timer, the Camford Cliffs, number 1, with JP van der Merwe, who's drawn okay at 5. There might be some money for that. The Camford Cliffs babies are doing exceptionally well. So race 2, number 4, Hear My Voice, sets the standard. I expect improvement from 11, Turn the Page. The breakfast trolleys arrive now, so I think I'll have something to eat or a cup of coffee before race 3. Right, time for us to move on to race 3 now. Now this is a special weights maiden. To be honest, I think sometimes I'm a bit guilty as a form studier of over-analysing these races. Sometimes the top weight does win. I think we saw it the other day when there was a race in Johannesburg with the 2 Crawford horses. Smunga won the race, and I liked the horse that eventually ran second because he was weighted to perhaps win, and he came close to winning, but he didn't win. So maybe at times I'm guilty of over-analysing these, but having looked at the race as a handicap rather than as a maiden, I find the form very higgledy-piggledy. So Fluid Motion has Wayward Girl beat on 1 run, Wayward Girl has Twice the Master beat on 1 run, and then Twice the Master has Global Forest beaten on a run. Even number 6, Nothing Else Matters, another one of the Cotson runners. He's got quite a few in this race. He's got 4 runners, has an upset chance. Number 2, Last Storm, would ordinarily be my improver, but he is a 2-year-old, well-bred 2-year-old, but he's a 2-year-old over 1950 in distance, so the weight for age scale is not in his favour. In fact, just having a look there, he's supposed to be receiving 10.5 kilograms, and he doesn't. In fact, he's got to give weight to the likes of 3 and 4. So the third race I find very trappy. Personally, in my exotics, I'm going to play a bit wider there. I might come down on the side of number 3, Twice the Master, or even the filly, the Rafif filly, number 4, Wayward Girl, but I don't like the race. All I can tell you is that it is a special weights maiden, and it's not as straightforward as perhaps it looks. I think I'll go field. Well, it's the third race, which is the first leg of the pick 6. If you are going to take a pick 6, I would go field, just to be on the safe side. Trappy little race. Let's move on to race 4, then I don't have to pause and edit this one. Race 4, there's 9 runners here. By the way, at the time of me recording this, and as you know, I'm on a flight, there were no scratchings when I took off, so we'll see if there's any changes. Race 4, the interesting thing here could be the first timer, which is the Crawford runner, number 4, Cityscape. She's a daughter of Canford Cliffs, who's had a sensational 2-year-old career, and this is out of a daughter of Snitzel. So if there's any money for number 4, Cityscape, utmost respect. Stable companion number 1, Lavida, has had a few chances, but she reverts back to the 1,000 here. That might be in her favour. And the other horse that I wanted to mention, obviously number 5, Country Time. She too has had plenty of opportunities to shed her maiden. Last time she was beaten at 7.5 to 10, so she might be vulnerable to the Camford Cliffs first timer, or even number 8, Hunting Trip, if there is any money for that daughter of Trippy. So 5 Country Time, 6 Gypsy Express races with Kamala from a 1 draw do set a standard, but I would respect any money for the first timer number 4 in race 4. Right, let's move on to race 5, shall we? And here, potentially one of my price boosters for the day. I quite liked number 1, Galactic Path here. I know he's had a few chances. This is his 9th run today. Here Cornet Orpha rides. He's over a mile. He's drawn 7. So he's not exactly drawn well. But if you go back to the 1 form line for Galactic Path, he beat Masterful Guy quite comfortably on the 5th of June. And he's actually 1.5 kilograms better off. So I think a lot of punters, I haven't seen the betting, but I suspect that Masterful Guy might be favourite here. Now, if Masterful Guy is favourite, then you've got to say that the 1 Galactic Path has a big chance to beat him based on that 5th of June run. I know Masterful Guy's got Aldo de Meyer back on board, and also benefits from a 1 draw, whereas in previous starts he's been drawn 12 out of 12, 13 out of 13, 9 out of 11, 6 out of 8. So Masterful Guy, a big runner, but in the context of the race, the value might lie with number 1 Galactic Path. So those are the 2 that have got exposed form. Again though, there's some 2-year-olds with little or no exposure, and the one with no exposure is number 7 Triple Time, who's a twice over, nicely bred first timer. Richard Faree rides, and clearly must be fancied because he didn't ride number 5 I'm a Man, who's very well related. The mother Shadow Dancing was one of those Claverflay brood mares, which was very well performed and is well related. I expect some improvement from number 5 I'm a Man. Drawn 2 Louis Quattro rides, but interesting, as I say, that Richard Faree has chosen to ride the first timer. So last time I liked number 4 Admiral's Ransom. He was my value play, I believe, on the day, and he ran okay. He ran 3rd, doing some of his best work at the finish. But here I'm favouring the form book with the likes of 1 Galactic Path and 3 Masterful Guy. From a pick 6 point of view, of course, you don't need the first time, number 7 Triple Time. You will if you're going to play a jackpot, because the debutant rule doesn't apply in jackpots, but it does in the pick 6. So for me, I'm going 1, 3, 5 and 7, the 2 snake horses for 3rd and 4th. On we go to race 6. I'm going to keep this quite brief actually, because in race 6 is number 5 Crackling Rose. Now what's interesting about Crackling Rose, for me anyway, is that I've brassed her at the last 3 occasions. I kept taking her on to try and beat her, particularly at the last 2 starts where she was a short price favourite. But today I'm actually going to be in her cap because I think she is overdue. And although I've gone against her the last 2 starts, she's actually come very close to winning, and nearly nearly put egg on my face by winning. That didn't quite happen, but today, even though Aldo is still half a kilogram overweight, I think the one draw in the opposition suggests to me that finally this daughter of elusive Ford is going to crack it, excuse the pun. So I'm actually going for number 5, Crackling Rose, today. And let's hope that I've read her well. Tried to beat her when she was a short price favourite before, but today, and I'm sure she'll be another short price favourite, I'm going to be in the camp of Crackling Rose. So she's going to be one of my bankers for the day. Race 7, well, I think race 7 is going to be a case of the 2-year-olds against the older horses. So you've got number 3, Queen of Sparta, and number 4, Quick Step, and number 6, Open Secret, who represent the younger generation, unlike the race earlier on in the card over 1950, where the weight for age is 10.5 kilograms. Over the 6 furlongs, the weight for age is just 7.5, which makes it somewhat easier for the 2-year-olds to upstage their older compatriots. We'll get to the 2-year-olds in a moment. But in this race, I like a bit of a roughie. I like number 10, Veronique. I think nice booking of JP van der Merwe. She's not going to Hollywood, but she's lurking at the bottom of the weights here from a 3 draw. And again, I repeat, I haven't seen the betting, but if she's a decent enough price in double figures, I might be having a bit of a go on her each way. Race 7, number 10, Veronique. As far as the 2-year-olds are concerned, well, it is a 74 handicap, so Queen of Sparta has to give 1.5 kilograms to Quick Step, and Quick Step in turn has to give weight to Open Secret, who's ridden by Samanga Kamalo. So I think those 2-year-olds in this handicap are much of a muchness. I don't particularly like the race, and that's why I was looking for some value and came down on the side of number 10, Veronique. Been for the stable companion number 9, Fly to Rio, before, but just with the jockey bookings with JP van der Merwe. I know Keenenstein's not riding apparently today either, but I'm going to go for JP as a roughie in this race. Each way play race 7, number 10, Veronique. Race 8 is the last race on the programme. It's a classified stakes race, but interestingly enough, there are no fillies in the race. So normally in a classified stakes race, you look for some fillies who are well handicapped. That isn't the case here, which maybe makes the race even more complicated and deeper than at first glance. Clearly number 5, Dance Variety, is going to be a very popular first choice because he's a son of VAR. He's had the 2 starts and he improved to win at his second. I'm not necessarily in his camp. He's drawn 10 and he's just won his maiden and he is a 2-year-old. I think there might be some older hard-knocking handicappers here who might have a say. Now those who have followed me for a good couple of months will know that at one stage I really liked All Lit Up. I think it was either the day of the Met or the Queen's Plate, but I think that Gavin Lorena rode him, but whatever the story was, he hasn't delivered. He's continued to be extremely expensive to follow, and as a result I haven't been going for him for his last couple of starts. But he's got Samanga Kamalo on today and he's drawn 2, and again he's now dropped down to what is he rated now? He's rated at 80, sorry, he's rated at 73. He was an 89, so he's come down 16 merit rated points, and I think he's going to be competitive. So a little bit like that filly I mentioned earlier on, who I haven't been going for, Crackling Rose. I'm going to change that and go for her today, and today I'm going to change and probably go for number 8, All Lit Up, to be my roving banker in the race. But the race doesn't stop there. Number 1, Star Master, looks like he's got quite a tough task carrying 60, but he is a son of Trippy. He could surprise from a 4 draw with Louis on board. Even the old hard-knocking number 2, Moonrock, could upset. He has won 5 times over this track and trip, and he's a 7-time winner. Aussie Notes rides him, I think for the first time, if I remember. No, he's ridden him twice, but to no great effect. But Moonrock could surprise. 7, Power Grid, well, you talk about old timers. I mentioned Andrew Brand earlier on. He's also a 7-time winner. He's only won 3 times over this track and trip, but he's got a 1 draw Grand Bear on board. I skipped number 3, Benjamin. He's a 4-year-old with Alda de Meyer on board. Interesting that he goes sprinting. He's been racing over 7 furlongs, and the drop back to 6 furlongs. The last time that happened, he was running on, although some way beaten by Dragonfly, but not without a chance. And then towards the bottom of the handicap, well, clearly number 10, Supreme Leader. Interesting booking. Sandile Mbele rides for Andre Nel, drawn 8. But again, on a couple of form lines, not without a shout. So in summing up race 8, very open. I'm going to go as wide as possible. First choice is probably going to be number 8, All Lit Up. Going back to that well, again, because he has dropped down, he's drawn well, and he's got Smunger on board today. Maybe that's the difference. But I thought race 8 was quite competitive. I'm going to try and beat the favourite in race 8. Well, that sums up from a very high altitude my take on today's Kenilworth racing. Apologies for this preview being a little bit late. Hopefully we'll post it as soon as we land, but it'll be edited and ready to go. From Neil and the team, have a good day's racing, and if you are in neutral, do your best to shout "I did it my way" into a nice run in race 1.